Hello, this is Richard Philatelist. In this channel, I talk about what I found and learned in postage stamps. I'm not an expert in philately, but I like to study. This is an Andorra stamp. I bought it while traveling. This is what I usually do during travel. Buy some stamps and postcards for friends and family. Send one postcard to myself. And save a mint stamp for my collection. I went to Andorra in March 2019. I bought this in a souvenir shop. This stamp was issued on 25th October 2004. It commemorates them starting to use Postcode. As you can see, Code Postal is Postcode in Catalan, their official language. The postcode in Andorra is quite simple, just AD following by 3 digits. For example, the postcode of the capital Andorra de Vella is 8500. On the top of the stamp, you can see the name of the country, Principat Andorra. At the bottom is Correos Español, which means Spanish Post Office. And if you look really carefully, you can read RCM FNMT, which is the abbreviation of it means Romance and National Currency and Stamp Factory of Spain. So, is it an Andorra stamp? Yes. Is this issued and printed by Spain? Yes. That's a little weird. To figure out this problem, let me talk about the background. Andorra is not a large country, landlocked between France and Spain. Its area is 468 square kilometers, or 181 square miles. Its population is 77,000. Whether you are familiar with the history of Andorra or not, you can imagine that it was influenced by France and Spain in different aspects, which includes the postal service. In early days, back in 1840s, the postal service of Andorra is highly relied on the city of Uruguay of Spain. Most of the letters are sent and received by the post office of Uruguay. Even the letter from France addressed to Andorra would be sent via Uruguay. So, some Andorrans with friends and relatives in France would sometimes make use of the office of X and have correspondence addressed to them at the office for collection by the Andorran courier, but not for the winter months because of the snow. So, Uruguay is a window for them to communicate with the outside world. In 1878 Universal Postal Union Congress, Andorra was officially allocated to Spain for postal purpose. But later, France made efforts to increase the influence in Andorra. They established a postal service and a telegraph service despite the protest of Spain. At that period, stamps of both Spain and France are sold in Andorra, which had to be affixed to the mile depending on its destination. In 1928, Spain issued stamps for Andorra, but they were actually Spain stamps with overprints. In 1929, they designed stamps for Andorra. And in 1931, France also started to issue stamps for Andorra. And similarly with Spain, it was overprinted stamps. And 1 year later, they started to design stamps for Andorra. After that, the Spain and France stamps could no longer be used in Andorra. If you go to connect.com, you can find Spanish administration Andorra stamps of the year 1875. But they are official stamps, not for general use. To this day, the two countries still issue stamps for Andorra, but not too much, like less than 20 stamps each year. So, let's go back to the stamp. It is an Andorra stamp, but issued by Spain. In fact, France also issued the same theme stamp in the same year, but 2 days earlier than Spain. and the size of the two stamps are a little different. I bought the French one on eBay a few days ago. Andorra is the only country in the world with two foreign post offices. Although it is an independent state, the country still does not have its own postal service. Today, there are 8 Spanish post offices and 7 French post offices in Andorra. This is a picture I took in Andorra. The left one is a French post box, and the right one is a Spanish post box. To be honest, I didn't know why there were 2 at that time. I thought it was just an old and new post box. In principle, Spain doesn't process letters with French Andorra stamps, and also France doesn't process letters with Spanish Andorra stamps. So when you visit Andorra and want to send a postcard or a letter, please check your stamp and drop it in the right post box, or your letter won't be delivered. This is a souvenir cover I sent to myself in Andorra. You can see the stamps. They are Spanish Andorra stamps, but they were just definitives with coat of arms. So, this cover should be processed by the Spanish post office or the couriers. La Poste! I think I got a French postmark on a Spanish Andorra stamp, and it is so clear. So, why this happened? I can think of the following possibilities. First, I dropped it in the wrong post box, but the French post office did not notice it. Second one, I dropped it in the wrong post box. The French post office noticed it, but they didn't care, because many people drop their letters in the wrong post box. The third one, I dropped it in the red post box, but because the cover was going to north, to the UK, so the Spanish post office passed it to France to process it. What do you think? Please let me know. Finally, I want to say that the background I introduced is an extremely simplified version. There are many great stories in the history of the postal service of Andorra. If you are interested, you can visit the website of Andorran Philatelic Study Circle. I will leave the link below. After learning this, I'm keen to go to Andorra again and send more postcards. There is also a postal museum in Andorra. It must be interesting. Unfortunately, they were closed last time I visited. Thank you for watching. See you next time.